All right, so we're going to talk about products. We have two primary segments of products. Data center infrastructure management, DCIM, and this is our rack mount console server products that are found in labs, colos, hosting environment, any place where you're going to have a high density amount of serial ports that you're going to want to have connectivity to. These products are designed to use straight through Cat5 cables to Cisco equipment, F5, Juniper, all that similar RJ45 serial port. They provide logging, auditing of all the management sessions. We have virtual remote hands and power control that we'll talk a little bit more about. And then we have a compact version of this, which we call the remote infrastructure management appliances. These are small form factors. Some of you guys already have some of the ones on the desk here. But they're designed for distributed IT, branch offices, remote sites. And we even scale into M2M because we're a small form factor device for connecting all sorts of devices. The primary role of these products is uptime and continuity. So we allow you, backdoor access to a router or switch during an emergency and outage to fix a problem or remediate a problem quickly. So two primary families of products, big and small. The software features are basically the same. So you're not going to find difference in feature set from the small one, the 4-port, that you would on a 48-port. We just scaled it down and managed to shrink it. For the data center products, we have a low-cost CM4100. It's one of the most cost-effective ways to get 48 serial ports into a box. We find this going into labs, colos, hosting environments where they want inexpensive, down and dirty, cheap serial port access.
What's the price point of that?
What cost me do you? About $37 a port, MSRP. So if you're looking at managing or setting up a, say, a Linux cluster, and you have a choice of building your own servers, embedding ILOs or ALOMs or DRAC cards, you have an option to go with the serial port for management if it's a Linux or Unix server anyway. So from there, you could do $37 a port. We've had a strong following in the high-performance computing area for HPCs, for clusters, cloud computing. With that product, basically, it's doing a it's grabbing all the data out of the serial port based on BIOS and the system booting, and it's reporting back to a script that allows the cloud providers to say, hey, these servers booted, and they booted correctly based on expect or chat. So that's the lowest cost form factor, and we find that in people who are looking for a large amount of servers with the least cost. The IM4200 is a redundant unit. It's got dual power supplies, dual Ethernet, 16 gig of internal flash memory, which the CM does not. The flash memory is for offline logs, running config files. You can store just about whatever you want, including scripts, and a variety of things that we'll talk a little bit more about with a hands-on session here in a bit. So the primary fundamental differences between the low cost and the IM4200 is hardware. The IM4200 does come with a built-in modem for dial-in, USB connectivity, and has an optional cellular module, 3G or CDMA. The 421634 is a combination 16-port console server that has a 32-port switch in it. Now, the 32-port switch is designed to provide direct management LAN connectivity to IP-based consoles like HP ILOs, Dell DRACs, any type of management interface, found on Nortel equipment, especially where rack space is a premium. So if you're leasing spots in a colo, you can get both a management LAN switch and a console server as an out-of-band platform in one single U. We find it's very popular amongst the colos, people putting products in a colo. So the CM4000, the low-cost version, comes in 16, 32, and 48-port versions. 4-year warranty, free software downloads for life of the product. Flexible, it's got AC power only, and it works. It works well.
Sold, done.
The next one up here, the IM4200, this is 8, 16, 32, and 48. And again, we've gone over some of these features here. This one's actually available in 3 pin-out options. The most common is our Cisco direct connectivity. It's called the Cisco pinout is what we call it. We offer it with rolled. So if you are ripping and replacing old Cisco equipment that had the octopus cable and the brick assembly and all that cabling, we can do away with that with the rolled cable unit, and it's a direct replacement for other competitive products or existing Cisco installs.
Sorry, you said that's a hardware option or a software?
It's a hardware option at this point. So you have to order it up front, make sure you get the right pinout that you want. The classic pinout is what also differentiates this product with the CM. You would require an adapter to plug into a Cisco component. When the CM was originally created, I think our attachment rate was probably 80% Sun and Linux and Unix servers. And over the course of 8 years, we've seen that drop off and been transitioned to more of the Cisco style pinout. So that's why we adopted it as well. But we do keep it. It's called our classic pinout for users who are have it spec'd in and have adopted it. All right. So on the back of the IM4200, dual AC or DC power supplies. Can you see that all right? All right, so on the lower unit here, there's a built-in modem, dual USB ports, has 16 gig of flash. The upper one here has the built-in cellular module, and you can tell there's a little SIM card slot up there as well. We're showing you a dual DC and a dual AC model. The DC power supplies have intelligence built into them that allows them to monitor the line current voltage individually on each one of these. We find this product to be really important to utilities, fiber backhauls, companies that have 48 volt DC power. So this product here is probably our flagship, the 4200 with the built-in cellular or with DC and built-in cellular. So we do offer both. We have about 160 different console server SKUs, which is quite a few. Everywhere.
I'm sorry to
Yep.
interrupt. When you say AC, is it just 110 or variable?
It's variable, 220. 110, 220, variable.
That's the assumption, but you know what they say about assumptions.
So when you say it sounds like you've got a lot of different SKUs. Do you offer the entry-level model with two power supplies?
No, just a single power.
It's fixed single.
Yeah.
Okay.
Power supplies ever break?
No, but feeds do.
Yeah, these do.
I got a power supply break. The
Yeah.
Magic Smoker.
Use that
servers
use a
Yeah.
tiny split cable. You use like one of those dirty wire cables if you
No, but you want to give feed redundancy to
Yeah.
I solemnly swear I'm up to no good cables.
Yeah.
So on this next slide here, this is the 4200 with a built-in 32 port switch. It's an interesting product that allows us to have the connectivity for both IP and the serial consoles, which we've been told from our customers are the most important things to them to have. And having it in one box allows them to ship equipment remotely without having a configuration on it. So a unique thing is if you have equipment you're shipping to a colo or to a new office or a new site, you can send it with one of our boxes and plug it into a phone line, dial it up remotely, and configure it all on-site location without having to have technical people on site. The 32-port switch is a simple VLAN switch. There's no tagging, trunking, things like that. It's meant for just segmented connectivity to ILOs, D-racks, and products like that. But
Can you explain how we might use that Ethernet connectivity if there's just a phone line or a 3G connection?
We see people connecting it to UPS systems, servers, and then also management interfaces that may be IP.
But I mean,
So-
what good is that to me on the other side of the world? Can I see the web GUI of my UPS?
I guess you're running
Out of band.
Yes, you can. We do port forward through the out-of-band connection, both the serial ports as well as TCP ports and UDP. So yeah, we can forward you and bring up a browser interface or a session on a device that may be IP-based on its console.
So would the dial-up be like a PPP connection?
It is a PPP, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and the out-of-band as well as a data plan, so it's a full network interface.
We also have a bunch of VPN options on board as well. We've got PPTP support, OpenVPN, IPsec. So there's a bunch of different ways you can actually get into these boxes securely.
All right, so here's the smaller versions that you guys are looking at already. This smaller version, we offer it in 1 through 4 ports. It's our ACM 5000 family. We've had this out for a few years now. We've had customers say, you know what, I want the same thing with the 4-port switch and it over here. I want connectivity for the IP cameras. I want connectivity for anything else that's IP that we're looking to connect to this too. So we took that advice, went out and built another product. So we have 2 small form factor families. The one that's on the desk and then one that's pretty much twice the width that looks like this, which we'll pass around here in a bit. It's got a lot of antennas. So it's a spike.
Wi-Fi people are getting jealous, just so you know.
If you have any intruders in the data center, you just poke them with it.
All right, so let's talk about the hardware here. So 2, 3, or 4 ports. The serial pinout, again, is a Cisco-friendly pinout. We do offer this product with a negative 48-volt DC power supply. So if you want, you can order that. All these devices, the smaller form factor units, the ACM 5000 and 5500, do have internal temperature monitoring. So you can monitor the ambient temperature in a closet or an IDF. The products also do have 4 gig of internal flash memory. And that's for storing offline logs for compliance, running configs. We're an FTP and TFTP server, so you can back up iOS and running configs. And if you had to dial into it over an analog modem and recover something using X modem or Z modem, you could do it with a local copy of it, so you weren't pushing it over a 9600 baud link. 4-year warranty, small form factor. We do offer them with environmental sensors, which is this green connector block, which is an additional product model that allows for connectivity to water leak detection, smoke, fire, door contact sensors, and vibration. We do sell all those. It's a normally open, normally closed 5-volt digital I/O. Let's see, we also offer a DIN rail mounting kit. We offer the high temp models up to 165 degree Fahrenheit. So there's non-extended temperature models, and we also have high temp models. The goal is uptime, M2M, industrial communications, and ensuring business continuity.
So are those sensors you mentioned, that's inputs or outputs, or can I monitor a door or can I open a door?
You can do both.
You can do both.
Yeah, we can drive, yeah.
So can it send an alarm or something like that then when, how does that manifest itself?
so-
Is it an MP trap or?
Yeah, that's one option. We also have a system called ARMS, which allows you to set up a range of, and we'll get to it in the demo and that sort of thing, but it's a way to, it's like a heuristic engine. Lets you set up actions that get triggered when events happen. And those events can be anything from network traffic or digital I/O or a whole range of different things. And then they can do different things in response, like send an SMS or trap or email.
Custom script. Very cool.
Sorry?
Custom script.
Yes, yeah, on both ends. Yep.
Yeah, it should be, again, we're an open source company. We don't have, we don't lock down the product. You have root access, you can script to it, you can change it, you can roll your own firmware.
Yeah.
Very flexible platform, and that's what has given us great success. There's a lot of customization and flexibility. So the 5500 has 4 or 8 serial ports, 4 gig of flash memory. Again, we have the optional DC. It comes with the same software features. You have modem, 3G, cellular, Wi-Fi. This one is a power over Ethernet option if that was of importance to you. For an install, like maybe in an IDF where you'd want to run that off a PoE switch.
Sorry,
So-
this is a client for PoE or it can power things?
It's an endpoint. It can't power things. So it terminates PoE. And the thought process behind a lot of this was IDFs, campuses, distributed IT stuff where you may have closets that are locked up in an airport. All these products do have an embedded UPS and PDU management software. One's called NUT, Network UPS Tools, and one's called PowerMan. PowerMan and NUT were both developed in the community, and we helped support it and bring it into our products. So when in an IDF, you may have a UPS system or a PDU, we can give you the eyes and ears to that device in a vendor-neutral manner. It doesn't matter to us if it's USB, serial, SNMP plugged into one of the IP interfaces. We can communicate with it, report back, and alert and monitor the batteries. So you know that the battery is only supporting 70% charge throughout your airport, or whatever it may be, time to change them out.
You mentioned something earlier about roll your own firmware.
Yep.
Yep.
So kind of positioning yourself like the Arduino of console servers.
Not so much, but we do support people taking what we call our custom development kit, which contains all of our proprietary binaries and the source for all of our open source programs and letting people add to that and recompile it and produce up a firmware that's got all of the Opengear stuff as it was with your additions as well. So it lets you do whatever you want really with the box. Yeah.
So that's what PowerMan and those things were initially with some of the
They
original
no, they were developed externally separately,
Yeah.
and we brought them into our development tree, put them on board,
Yeah.
contributed back patches, that sort of thing.
Yeah, PowerMan was developed in a lab to help manage a wide variety of different vendors' PDUs from one central spot. And it was a command line thing that we put a front end on and wrapped it up. And we helped put it into our management software that allows for automation, so we could reboot based on a lot of different, I guess, condition checks that we'll go into. And the network UPS tools was developed by Arnaud with Eaton and a few other people that helped, donated their time into the community to make sure you had a unified way. You weren't kind of vendor trapped. So if you bought one product from vendor A, you had to stick with them because you would lose the ability to have unified access and management. So we kind of break that mold a little bit and allow you to use a wide variety of vendors and still have one single place to manage them from that's universal.